Okay, a continuation because due to some lengthy video, that's why the first video it's completed, and I'm continuing this video. So welcome to official language channel. This is Niranjan. So in the last class we have been discussing that is the types of listening, passive listening. Yes. Now we go for marginal listening. Marginal listening. So marginal listening in the sense giving too much information to the listener. If the too much information is giving to the listener, then what happens? Definitely the listener or audience or the receiver may feel bored. So they may get some fatigue. So they may not able to understand once the information is provided too much. That is why this marginal listening is not appropriate. So in the process of types of listening, what we have been discussing right now, so the marginal listening is one of the listening skills. So in this listening skill, we find the so-called listeners or the receivers are not able to listen properly because marginal listener in the sense giving more information beyond the subject. So that is why this is not appropriate. So once again I will read. If too much information is provided to the listener, it may go waste, resulting in the marginal listening. This creates a superficial understanding. Superficial in the sense they think that the listener think that they understand more, they know well. So but nothing is there. The listener is not interested in understanding the subject fully. That means he doesn't understand subject fully. This may be a problem to the listener. So this kind of listening may also cause boredom and fatigue. Marginal listening leads to miscommunication and poor communication. So these things, we find sometimes some situations also, we find some interviews and in household situations, some interviews and some business meetings also we find some this kind of marginal listening. This type of people also we find some situations. This is a very important point. You have to write in the examination point of view. And projective listening. The projective listening in the sense it is each and every individual, they have their own point of view, they have their own point of listening once the speaker is giving the message. So each individual has a point of view which may stand between the sender and the receiver. While listening to the speaker, the receiver tries to understand the topic from his or own point of view and not as the sender intends. So this is also somewhat problem. So what exactly the speaker says, the listener is not in a position to understand the main intention of the speaker. So this is a projective listening. That means always the speaker is in fantasy mood. So they beyond the topic, whatever the beyond the intended subject of the speaker, the receiver thinks that. So this results in the listener understanding the message from the limited perspective and can result in misunderstanding and miscommunication. So somewhat the listener understand, but it is not completely. So that's why it leads to some limited perspective, and this can be the result of misunderstanding and miscommunication happens in projective listening. Yes. And the fourth one is sensitive listening. Sensitive listening is somewhat it is somewhat good because the listeners always pay attention to the intended subject or intended message which is giving by the speaker. So here the listener pay more attention what is the exact information or the message that is given by the speaker. So here in this type of listening, the receiver tries to understand the intended message of the sender. Of course it is better than the other listening skills. As we know from experience, a message does not mean the same thing to everyone. Yes, the message does not mean to same everything. Each and every individual think in different their own point of view. As I told you, each one tries to understand it from his own perspective. However, there are receivers who try to match their perceptions with that of the sender. Some people, what they think the exact speaker says, that is also the exact what the speaker says the message, the receiver also thinks that they will match, they will sync it. Sometimes they will always go for syncing. So however, there are receivers who are try to match their perceptions with their of the sender. In order to understand the sender's point of view, the receiver raises questions and seeks clarifications where the message is unclear. So this is somewhat, I mean, a difficult situations we find when the listeners always used to ask questions and get clarifications whether their perception is correct or not. So this is a type of listening. That means we find in some classrooms, definitely some students will ask questions, so they always used to ask questions, getting some clarifications. Okay, so that's why this type of students maybe in this under this sensitive listening. The response of the sender enables the receiver to understand the message as the sender intended it. This also means that the strategy of emphasis is used. So here in this situation, for these particular children or particular receivers or particular listeners, the particular speaker has to give more what he called emphasizes. The more emphasizing particular these children, empathy means to put oneself in someone else's place to understand another feelings. By empathizing with the sender, the receiver is in communication with the sender and is making an effort to understand the message that is being conveyed. So this is also responsibility of the speaker. Those children who are not able to understand the particular message or this subject, so definitely the speaker may take some steps, to bold steps to give some emphasizing the particular information what he is telling. Next, coming to the active listening, this is very important listening. Most of the, people will go for that one. This is very important listening. This is the most important type of listening. Active listening is a structured form of listening. This is the structured form of listening. In this type, the attention is focused on the speaker. So here, the children main attention focus on the speaker. The listener must take care to attend to the speaker fully and then repeat in the listener's own words what he or she thinks the speaker has said. Yes, this is very beautiful. The listener must take care to attend to the speaker fully. Some children we find in the classroom, what exactly the teacher says, they write. What exactly the teacher demonstrate in the classroom or in the board, so the children also same exactly 100%. So these type of children are active listeners. So it is not necessary that the listener has to agree with the speaker. So here what we find is that it is not that the listener has to agree with the speaker. He or she must simply state what the speaker has said. Generally, they follow what the speaker says. The children also follow. This enables the speaker to find out whether the listener has really understood him or her. So definitely this active listening, we can find that whether the listener can understand or not, we can find based on this active listening. If the listener has not, the speaker can explain once again what he intended to communicate. For example, if the listener is not in a position to understand, the speaker can give clarifications and explain once again what he or intended to communicate. So the listener So the listener can also raise queries and seek elaborations and explanations on words, ideas, and what we can say issues, so that the message can be completely understood as the sender intended it. So the listener can understand. The listener can ask, raise questions and queries, seek elaborations and explanations on words and ideas and issues, so that the message can be completely understood as the sender intended it. So definitely, the student can understand completely what the exact message that is given by the speaker. This means that communication is effective only when there is a participatory contribution from the receiver. So here participatory contribution is also very important when we are receiving information. So this is what I would like to share with you. This communication, active listening, is also uh, very important. There are so many benefits for this one. Definitely the children will become a good speaker and spontaneous speakers in the future when they are in active listening. So I hope that you can understand these particular types of listening. I have already made this one. I hope that you like this video. If you like this video, please like this button and subscribe my channel and tap the bell icon button to get the latest notifications. Thank you very much.